Calling to order the Monday, March 10th Board of Library Trustees meeting to order, 7 p.m. 4 people here. We have Monette online. Do we have anybody online for public comment? Excellent. Then the first order of business after that. Sorry. Recognizing Pat.
We did get one email into the Bolt mailbox since the last meeting. It was a complaint about the tween space. In general, I'll just, well, you know what, I'll read it instead of summarizing, short enough. I think it's a waste of space to have that reserved section for kids 9 through 13, especially when it's very, very rarely used. And then when my son, who's under the age, is just sitting at the table and no one is in the space and is kicked out and is disrespectful. There are kids using that space, I understand, but with no one in there, he shouldn't have been kicked out. So that was not written anonymous, and actually I replied to it to say that I'd raise it in public comment and non-invalid address, but that is the only feedback that's come in since the last meeting.
Just having a little trouble hearing you.
Oh, any better now?
Yeah, so much better. Thank you.
Okay, so it was a complaint about the tween space and somebody whose kids, I guess, were asked to leave it when there weren't tweens there.
Because they were not a tween, that child.
Correct.
Ah, okay.
Excellent. Anything else? Public comment? If nothing else, we have a big one and a sad one. Recognition of trustee retirement for Sherry Dubois. And I know that Monette would have to, we have a slide up on screen to go over some of the very big highlights of your service, Sherry. And I know Monette wanted to say a few words, and I think we do too, but we also have something for you as well.
Sherry, this is a thank you from the current Board of Library Trustees. We are super sad to see you go. We are really going to miss your knowledge, your history, your very poignant input and direction. And we're just in awe of your 33 years of service to the Board of Library Trustees. Thank you so much. You've made such an impact on the library and the community by extension. Not hearing anything online, everybody.
Oh, sorry. I was also actually on the committee that ended up deciding that the Highland School could be used as a library. So I sort of spanned the whole time from when the building was decommissioned as a school to when it was to become a library. So that was kind of fun too.
Were you part of the train that carried books across town?
I did that too.
It's amazing.
Wow.
You're so versatile.
Yeah. Yeah, and as chair of the board, it's an honor for me to recognize your service. Your dedication is truly amazing. To be a member of the board for over 30 years, it's an extraordinary tenure that speaks absolute volumes for your dedication. And even though I'm relatively new to the board and just understanding the contributions you've made, the full depth of them over that time frame, it's abundantly clear that you've had a big impact on the direction of this institution over those decades. And the sink.
My pleasure.
Thank you
The
very much.
sink.
Very much for this.
Yep.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you so much.
And I'll just add, apart from the Bolt and the couple things you mentioned, also the role with helping with the Friends and the Foundation over that time period from getting them going. So somebody came up to me once and said, you know, there's no better people in the world than library people. And I think you're a testament to that. So thank you very much.
Landscape committee too. What we're going to do without you there?
You'll see me around.
You'll be around. Yep,
Other
build that legacy. You understand? 33 years is nothing. You got to go for 50. Anyway, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Pretty old if I did that.
Ah, Thank you.
You.
Next on the agenda, spring programming update with our favorite host.
And hello, Manette. All right, so we're here to cover the spring public services update. Next slide. Here's just a quick highlight reel. We have Tara Sullivan, local author, coming in to meet with teens, and members of the RMHS book group are going to be moderating that. So teens are going to be help leading it with our teen librarian, Megan. We have two huge Friends speaker series authors coming up at the end of March and the beginning of April, and they're both going to be live watch parties here at the library, Jennifer Weiner and Jodi Picoult. We have a sort of continuing education event, a Science of Reading lecture. Kate Zanino, children's librarian, and I were both at the New England Library Association conference back in the fall. And we went to a session led by the head researcher at the MGH Literacy Lab. And she was talking about how children learn to read, how difficult it is for your typical brain to learn to read, and all of the ways that learning to read can go awry. What we used to call phonics learning is now called decodables, and we've really built up our collection up in the children's room. So we have her coming to the library along with another librarian. We've invited local educators and librarians from the schools, as well as regional public children's librarians, to come and share that knowledge with us that day. So that's coming up end of March. We have a couple of military history events. One is a traveling exhibit called Women in the Military and Why It Matters, created by the 350 girls, who are World War II vets. It features original artifacts and uniforms from the Navy, Army, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard from women who served. And also our local history librarian is bringing back Autumn Hendrickson, whom I think you all are familiar with her. She's done a ton of local history research, and she has this ongoing project. She's, I think, just finishing college, and she did an undergrad thesis. And she's been looking at all of the World War II vets, from writing all of the male World War II vets. So she's coming back to present again on that. For true crime fans, we have Cold Crimes of New England with the Boston Globe reporter Emily Sweeney. Our health and wellness librarian is hosting a session on postpartum recovery for new parents and parents-to-be. We have some crowd-pleasing concerts hosted by the children's department and by our elder services librarian. We just had the Celtic concert this weekend, and the jazz duo's coming up in April. Teens is having Build Wave back to do a hands-on building game. And our children's librarians have put on their own version of Wicked Library Edition with crafts and sing-alongs. Next slide. Oh, there it is. You're so fast, Megan. So this is just one of our very recent, I think it happened a week and a half ago. Our teen volunteer came and said she wanted to do a whole STEM series for other teens. And so this was her slime seminar. Just kind of fun pictures in our studio. Next slide. Rooted in Reading, we're about midway through the grant year. Programs launched over the winter. This spring, we're in full stride with highlights, including big community programs like a craft and plant swap and a farm day with an alpaca from the Newhall Fields Farm. And they're doing sort of a 4-H like program here at the library on the lawn, as well as other programs. All right, next slide. This is just a sampling of partners over the spring. We just did an art night for autism support centers with the Northeast ARC. We have an ongoing tax help for seniors that the Pleasant Street Center is running out of our conference room in this little lobby area. I think it's every Wednesday till tax day. We have our head of research and reader services, Sarah Kelso, and I just went and visited the new Writers Collaborative Learning Center on Haven Street. Do you guys know what that?
No.
Yeah, so it's just local writers got together and took out the space and have transformed it into this really sweet community spot for writers. We are thinking we might do a story slam with them over the summer. The North Suburban Family Resource Network has an ongoing new parent group and music classes for toddlers that are very successful. And the Reading Neighbors Network, they're an aging in place mutual aid group that actually kind of got started in one of our Live Wires aging series. With them, we've co-hosted meteorologists Danielle and Matt Noyes to speak on climate change and co-hosted another lecture on green burial options. We wrapped up a very popular Live Wires folk dancing series with the Folk Arts Center of New England. We also got a Reading Cultural Council grant for that and hosted it at the UU church because they have wood floors and it's hard to dance on our carpet. And RNN is going to continue it because it was such a success. And Cherry's going to pass around this Reading's magazine, the other one. Where the sticky is, there are some lovely pictures of that folk dancing series. Really, really nice pictures, both sides, full spread in the Readings. Next slide, please. Okay, the Friends speaker series is still going like gangbusters. I already mentioned the two really big names that are going to appear this spring, but we also have upcoming sessions on self-help, women's liberation, trees with the Smithsonian Institute, and best-selling thriller writer Greg Hurwitz. Next. All right, Shelf Joy. Now, Cherry, you can start passing around the rest, but you take a look at them yourself. So Public Services is trying to emulate the popularity of passive programs in the children's room with staff-created whimsical installations, some interactive, some not, throughout the rest of the library. The goal is to celebrate the space and creativity and playfulness. Patrons may pick up a loose map of the locations or just organically stumble upon an installation, and the map is there, but it's like very loose, like I said. Next slide, please. So the installations are really throughout the ground and main floor. A few examples include an Edward Gorey house to draw attention to our fabulous Edward Gorey prints in the mystery and sci-fi room. A build a poem in a poetry, that's it, in Cherry's hot hand right there. So you can take a look at that little poetry book as well as the map of the locations. We have a communal sketchbook that's located just right by the art books, and that's there too for you to flip through and look at. It's kind of nice because obviously there's some people who are serious artists, there's some children, and then probably some amateurs that are throwing stuff in there. There's a recipe swap in the cookbook section, and a Friends TV show themed Name Your Best Friend in the Friends book sale room. That's our first couple weeks of best friends on that big poster board there. And that's it. You can go to the next slide. Does anyone have any questions?
Way back on the first slide, not related to this, this is all amazing. When you were talking about the female, I think it was children in the military, what was 350?
350 girls.
What does that mean?
So they're an organization of women World War II vets
Interesting.
and traveling exhibit.
Cool. Amazing. I don't know where you find the time.
Well, we have a whole team to do their different specialties, so.
Still, it's very creative.
Any other questions?
Andrea, can you tell me or talk about how Shelf Joy will be continuing or how long?
Oh, so Shelf Joy, so it's a very loose kind of thing. We're deliberately trying to make it sort of playful and not too formal, but it was it was a subcommittee of public services staff in teen, children, and adult services got together to do the first round. And now we've opened it up to the rest of the staff for another round of Shelf Joy installations that will start maybe May-ish. So right now we have a call out to the staff to come up with more ideas. Has anyone stumbled upon one and thought, what's that?
I'll just say the Gory House is pretty cool. So if you can make your way down to the mysteries and sci-fi section, I'll give you the location hint there. It's pretty cool. It's cute.
Yeah, and just coincidentally, around the same time that we put up Shelf Joy, there was a brand new children's book about Edward Gorey that had just come out, and so that's also on display down in the sci-fi and mystery room. There's a really nice horse in the back of the sketchbook too. If you keep going. Well, it's a variety. It's the community sketchbook. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea.
Next on the agenda, we have discussion and vote on the RMHS Girl Rising Club concession sale.
I sort of am the side person on this. I just talked to Louise today, and they are not going to be doing a fundraiser. They're just showing a movie. So yeah, we can close this discussion.
We have to table it formally, or can we just close the discussion? Close the discussion. We don't have to vote on that either? No longer relevant. All right, next item on the agenda. Discussion and vote on the parking recommendations we got from RMLD last time regarding the EV chargers.
Okay, I'm just going to scroll down to the minutes so you can see the image. So here's the image, and you have the minutes with the presentation information from Megan Wu in February. And I think now is the time when the trustees can discuss how they would like to move forward with adjusting the parking as we may within the requirements of the grant. Just as a refresher, there is a spot right in front of the red transformer thing. I'm sure there's a technical name for it. And that's that is the recommendation from RMLD is to take away the EV charger parking sign to black out the thing on the ground. So that would just be a regular spot for people.
Yeah, my concern is, I mean, I think it's great that we'll recoup a spot. If I understood correctly, this is as of June, correct?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Okay.
I think what you mean.
But my concern is that people already are confused about the charging stations and like which, can they even park on the other side? I wonder if anybody's even going to pull into that spot with the big red thing there and EV spots on either side. So how do we make that a welcoming spot for people?
I also had a question. Is there any, I never understood, are these not legal to park in? For example, if I park there, would I be susceptible to a ticket or something for doing it? Or is it just a courtesy? Like you hear about people blocking chargers all the time.
I think technically, yes. Although I'd have to double check that it's gone into the regulations. I know they were adding language regarding that to the whatever bylaws. My only other thought, and I'm not sure if this would work, instead of making that, taking the same space, well, and making that the white hash tag accessibility spot, which really would limit the level 2 charger to one space. I think the reason this was proposed was that someone could park there, or there could be two people at the level 2 charger and two people at the level 3 charger. So there could be a maximum of 4 people, but of the 3 spaces, only one of them would be catch as catch can.
Yep. So Amy, if you scroll down 3 more slides, it shows the one with the marking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So why can't it be the one most to the left?
Because you still need handicap access for one of those spots.
Oh, okay.
So the one on the left is considered handicap access even without the white lines?
Correct, because the white lines, which you can't see, are so faded, are on the far, far left.
Right.
That was always a
So they're there.
that was previously existing hashing. It was just never a viable full parking spot, but it is actually big enough so that if you have a handicap van, you could get in and out that side.
And you need the handicap for both of the sets.
You need a handicap access, yeah.
Is there
Seems
any?
like, oh, go ahead, Minette.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
It seems like we really only run into an issue with these spots when every other spot in the lot is filled up. So, I don't really have a qualm with keeping that as an EV preferred spot. And, it doesn't have to be as welcoming, but if somebody comes along, every other space is filled, that's the only option. I don't think you need an EV to park there.
What's the hash mark stuff there for? I mean, nobody can park
white-
there, correct?
The white one, the white
One
hash mark.
over on the right.
Yeah, that's the handicap access. So if you have if you have a handicap van or something, you know how a lot of, whenever you have handicap,
Right,
at least one of those,
Right.
you need to have that extra
right.
space.
No, I understand
So
that.
that's for the level 3 charger.
But is that clear? That you're only, that space is for handicapped people because there is the hashed area beyond it, beside it?
I think it is to people who have vehicles that require the handicap spot. Or it's not a handicap spot, it's just a handicap accessible spot.
Okay, is there a way that can be made more clear? That
Yes,
it's
so I mean,
handicap
I'd have to talk to,
accessible?
I'd have to talk to DPW about that. I know it's pretty common marking.
Yeah, the trouble is if you mark it as a handicap spot,
Yes.
now
Nobody-
only
Then, right, correct,
someone with
correct. It's
understand
handicap
that.
optional.
and
It's
EV.
handicap ideal,
Yeah,
so.
We really don't have many, it either stays the same or that one becomes flexible with some type of marking. I mean, there's really, our hands are tied to some degree.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
not to some degree, our hands
So
are.
really the vote is, do we remove the marking there and give it a shot? Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't see any downside to it. We've certainly gotten feedback on lack of parking for people who are not using EVs. We haven't gotten the converse. So if we remove the marking and we get that feedback, we can revisit it. But otherwise, it seems like we just remove the marking and see what happens. And we get one more spot.
there are also people who think that the EV chargers are on both sides. And people said, well, why do we have 8? And I said, well, we don't have 8, we have
Yeah.
4. They're only on one side.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's a way we can, I mean, that's clear already if you're paying attention, but I guess if you're not, it's not clear. But someone complained to me about that about a year ago.
Well, it's funny. It's like, I don't own an EV, but everyone who owns an EV knows this stuff like the back of their hand because they've dealt with
Right, but
charge
this,
anxiety.
but this person didn't have an EV and wasn't able to park sometimes, and she was upset because she
Oh,
thought
sure.
that it was on the other side, so it was 8 spaces
Oh, yeah.
instead of 4. So,
Right, I hear you. But I think it's one of those things, you don't have an EV, you don't know.
yeah,
You're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, it's the logo right there. And I'm like, I thought that was for something else completely. I didn't know. So I guess we need a motion to vote on whether or not we change the blue space in the second image to a non-marked any car compatible, but EV preferred space, though there won't be anything showing that it's EV preferred.
Move that we give RMLD permission to remove the EV marking on that one spot. It's in June.
Second,
Excellent. Do we have to do a roll call vote? We do. Okay, roll call vote. I'll start with you, Manette.
Yes.
Sherry,
yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Yes.
take a pick. Which Andrew? It's both yes. It's a yes from me. Pat, yes. The motion passes 6. Thank you. Oh, wait. Guess I gotta get the next. Pardon me. Next item in the agenda is reviewing the updates to the patron rights and responsibilities policy, updating references.
Thank you. This is just a really simple one. We changed our safe child policy. So we no longer have a safe child policy, but we do have a policy regarding responsibilities regarding minors. So it's a very minor correction. Just want to make sure we go through all the steps to say that the trustees are aware of it.
And just to be clear, in that document, it's just one line. You're just changing that.
Yes,
And do we need to vote on this, or is this just information?
I would feel more comfortable voting on it so that we have a record that the language was changed.
Very good.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we should probably vote. I know it seems a lot to leave it till next time, but we should probably,
Oh,
now that
right.
you've been
'Cause this was
notified
first
of it.
introduced, pardon.
Right,
I'm-
and then if you can read through, actually, it doesn't hurt to read through the whole policy to make sure we haven't missed anything else. But just sort of raising it here, I do think that, obviously it's an internal reference. We just want to make sure it's correct.
Little question, is that on the responsibilities regarding minors, is the tween space statement at the bottom in red, does that have any reference to, the email that Patrick received?
Yeah, so that's the next one. The only change to the rights and responsibilities is that one line. Going forward to the next policy that we're reviewing, because we opened the tween space, we have recommending a change to the appropriate use of spaces to include the fact that the tween space is reserved for children's aged 9 to 13, and also language to include tweens as a actual programming group. To your question, Cherry, yes. The tween space is reserved for, and there are signs up there that says 9 to 13. It's deliberately meant to be, it's intended to be that way so that it's sort of, I can go there and my little brother or sister can't follow me. It's meant to be their space, not sitting with adults. It's independence. So that's part of the reason we wanted to put that into the appropriate use of youth spaces. I will say that having the spaces designated for the teen room in particular is very important, and we found it very useful to have a document that says, thank you, grown up, appreciate you wanted to see it, but you can't just sit down here and hang out with the, that's less about, that's more about making sure appropriate aged, they're not inappropriately aged adults in that room, but in the tween space, it's really more about giving them some control over their own areas.
So Amy, I'm just kind of reading that there might be a conflict here. If in the first policy, we're saying leaving unaccompanied children under the age of 10 is in violation of the policy, but yet you can be in the tween space at age 9, and the idea is that you're not in there with your adult.
Correct, but your adult would be somewhere in the building with you. Meaning, so attended doesn't necessarily mean right by their side. So attended means that someone's paying attention to you. It does get a little different as you get older, but a parent could be sitting with another child. They could be sitting on a nearby chair or couch reading. I hear exactly what you're saying. And maybe this is what we want to think about. Should that number actually be 9 for the unattended children?
Maybe it's more changing the bullet. The bullet says unaccompanied, which is different than unattended.
Okay. So I think if I hear you right, unattended children, bullet number 1, you're recommending
Nope. I'm in the patron rights and responsibilities.
Oh,
On page 2, the bullet that you're suggesting a change says leave it
yes.
unaccompanied. So unaccompanied to me means you're right with somebody.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Is it this one with unattended children? Or is
Mm,
it? It actually is that one. So we refer
Nope,
to
nope.
that
Amy,
twice.
it's the policy above, patron rights and
Oh, okay.
responsibilities.
Page 2. Got it.
Yep, keep going.
I missed that, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yep, keep going.
Yeah, where you actually have the change.
Oh,
Right
I
there.
see, I see.
So see, leaving accompanied.
Yes.
So that's what I was just saying, like this
Oh, I
policy
see.
saying 8 to 10, the other one says 9.
Okay, so I guess the language for that, so children under the age of 10 must be attended by an adult. I'm not sure how I make attended a verb.
Is it leaving unattended children? You just change
Yes.
accompanied to unattended?
Thank you. And so instead of unaccompanied, we turn that to unattended. And then you link right back to the unattended thing
Right.
in other policy. Thank you for catching that.
Yeah.
That's already on the future agenda list for next month. so.
Yes. Yes. So we can incorporate that into the change.
So that seems to flow into the next item, which is reviewing updates to the policy regarding minors, adding language regarding tweens.
Yes. That's where I was. I had jumped
Yeah.
ahead to that.
So can
Is
you
it a
just,
rec-
sorry,
Go ahead, Monette.
can you just walk through the reasoning on tween being age 9 versus age 10?
Andrea, do you have anything on that? You have to come up to the mic.
Yeah, I think it would correspond to the grade. So 9 into 10 would be 5th grade.
No, 9 into 10 would be 4th, I think. Right?
4th to 7th, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is a little bit hard because there's that split. But the tween space just is designated by age, not by grade.
Right.
Though our teen space is designated by grade, not age.
I don't think you'll have any 9-year-olds who are in 5th grade. Unless they skipped a grade.
No, I think it's supposed to be 4th grade. I think it's 4th. Yes, we try not to do 4th grade again because it's like people in homeschooling. There's all sorts of other things. So our teen space is reserved for 11 to 17.
Overlap.
There's definitely overlap, and then you'll see. So that I think that's the idea why the children's area is ages 0 to 12. And tweens are kind of covering that 9, 10, 11, 12, and then just into the teen. So that I think is done to accommodate different maturity levels and developmental levels. It is a guide. Nobody goes around saying, "Are you 12? You have to get out of here." Yeah. So having said that, yeah, I think there are 13-year-olds. Right there, you're saying that the children's room is 0 to 12, but you could still be in the tween space if you're up to 13. So, would it be weird if there were 3 13-year-olds sitting around the picture book room? Probably, and that would probably draw some attention. And, we'd look to this policy to say, can you guys find a space that's a little more age appropriate? I will say that the response, and Andrea can hop up and correct me if I'm wrong, but the response to most of these policies, the negative response is generally from adults, not the kids. The kids actually self-select and understand where their spaces are, and should they be, they want to be with people that they feel appropriate with. So when that's all going well, no one asks for ID cards. Yeah, and the collection in the tween area, that's the other thing, is the collection in the tween area is very much 4th to 7th grade. So there's books that are overlap that you'll find in the bigger children's room or even down in the teen spot, but they're in there. That's why it's meant for that area. I don't know. Does that answer your question, Monette?
Yeah, I guess I just really was trying to align the ages and these different policies. And,
Yeah, and they're intentionally overlapped.
okay. And I was definitely struggling with, the children's room is for children ages 0 to 12, but the tween space goes up to 13.
Yeah,
And where the tween space is smack dab in the middle of the children's room,
yeah.
I was struggling with that, not ending at 12.
Well, and we don't reserve the room
Yeah,
for 0 to 12. It's meaning there are adults in that room,
yeah,
and they are accompanying or attending to the children in that room. So,
okay,
I think it's just it's a semantic thing.
okay,
Maybe it has to do with like a kid's maturity level as well.
Correct. So, and if someone was misbehaving in any of those spaces, they would be asked to leave regardless of their age. So,
Are there regular issues with the people like in the tween space that aren't in that age group?
not, I would say it's getting better. I think initially it was a really cool, new space. And so they have had, the librarians up there have sort of, I want to say, not blocked off, but sectioned off that area with signs saying like, hey, are you this age? You can come in here. Like, are you tall enough for this ride? Come on in. So, and I think that's sort of the loose, again, no one's going and saying, you're awfully small for a 9-year-old, or you're awfully tall for a 12-year-old. So yes, initially there were, I think some of those complaints are slowing down. People are getting used to it, but it would help to have this in the policy so that we can just say, thanks for your appreciation. Can we get something for you? Is there something you need?
It seems to me the comment that was made about the collection materials in that space, though, is important too.
Yeah.
If somebody's got a, 5 or 6-year-old who's going to grab something off the shelf and
Right,
age appropriate.
right.
Any other questions? If not, it's on the agenda for next month for a vote, and we can move on to the financial report.
Okay. Not much to report in the financial report. Other than the budget update, that should say FY 26, not FY 25. Dang it, I missed that. The FY 26 update, the FY 26 budget presentation to the FinCom is this Wednesday, March 12th. I think it's at 7:30, or is it 7? It's at 7. It's at 7. 7, okay. And we did post that, so if in the event that more than 3 trustees Zoom in or show up, if you're interested, they are going to try and attempt to do the entire municipal budget on the whole day. So they'll cover everything from accounting to public safety, to the library, to DPW. We already did the in-depth presentation in December. This will just go through, there'll be a public comment period at the beginning, and then the FinCom will have the opportunity to ask questions of any department heads and assistant department heads that are going to be there to discuss. And this is the final step before it goes before town meeting. We had some lovely gifts. We had a lot of in memorial gifts during February, which was sad but nice. I think that's it. Actually, we don't really have that much more for finance. Thank you for signing the warrants.
Welcome. I think, yeah. Did you sign? On to the director's report.
Okay. Well, we already had a little moment. I won't read through everything as I always do, but our statistics are looking good. February is always a tricky month because it's a short month. So, we can compare it to last year. Our circulation was a little bit down, but yet, our overdrive was a little bit up. And there's a lot of other things that we don't include here, like our hoopla usage and our canopy usage. But in general, this February was on par with our regular Februarys. Everything's back into the swing of things. Again, we're still hitting a typical, averaging about 14,000 visitors per month, a little less in February, short month. We are also closed on a Sunday. And we typically get between 100 and 300 people on a Sunday. So we were closed for one of our Sundays due to inclement weather. Andrea already talked about Shelf Joy. Just another couple highlights is the Pair and the Office of Equity under Albert Bless hosted the first annual Black Trivia Night evening. It was great attendance. It was a lot of fun. This is an example of how programs can be very community driven and community centered. It was led by and organized by and members of the Partners and Allies for an Inclusive Reading, PAIR. And then Albert obviously facilitated and was there, and it was just a really great event. We did it in the studio, so it was very nice. And there were great prizes. And also we are finishing up. Okay. We're wrapping up, and we've had it out for a little while. An accessibility survey. I know there have been signs around the building, and there's a couple that's gone out in a couple newsletter. It's primarily related to accessibility around programs. Can you get there? Can you hear? Can you, can you park? And we've gotten some really good data back. Michelle is tracking that. This is going towards an overall effort that is part of our FY26 to FY30 strategic plan and part of the our DEI initiatives in response to the audit that the community assessment that came out last April to increase our accessibility to all parts of the library. And that could be physical or digital accessibility, how people get information, how they get to programs. So it's just the first step in a number of other steps. And I will also just add, I know we always give you a selected list of professional development, but the selected list is designed to show you the diversity of everything that we're taking. But every single month we have people that are taking continuing education and professional development on accessibility, of whether it's from websites to the physical plant to low vision to neurodiversity to providing services for those with who are neurodiverse or neuroatypical. So it's something I think you'll continue to see a lot of work around. I do want to just call out, one is check out the new this expanded seed library that's on the main floor. And it really centers physically and visually what we're doing around Rooted in Reading. There's a sign there. There's a small collection that is meant to help you browse the rest of the collection and get interested in that. It was, the seeds have been going out a lot. I know Megan White, who's working in our children's room, is working with a volunteer to keep them filled. And it used to be in the children's room in little plastic cases, and it wasn't quite as accessible. It was harder to find, and it was harder to, you had to direct people. So now it's a quick stop from the gardening section on the ground floor, and it's just been a very busy space. And also, we are working on a large-scale community project. So this is for Arbor Day, and the goal is to have volunteers, I think between 9 and 3 on a Saturday, or it's not on Arbor Day because Arbor Day is a Friday, but we're going to do it on the Saturday after Arbor Day. Plant 500 saplings in the town forest. And the town forest committee has been determined where those will go. The DPW, the town forest committee, and the conservation commission are deciding what trees will go there. These are very small trees. You may remember if you have children in the school, like they give out a tree in 5th grade. It's like a little thing. It's part of from the Mass Department of Conservation, DRC, Conservation Commission, and Conservation and Recreation. And the town is able to acquire those. And we hope this will be the first of a minimum of a 5-year rotation. Many of the trees that we plant this year will get eaten, or they may not survive. They're not being planted like 50 feet away from each other so that they can, it's truly as if, 500 acorns dropped and now we have 500 saplings. Some will die, some will get bigger. It's been an interesting process. It's been a great process talking about what trees, great discussions on what constitutes a native plant, because there are things that are native to our area that are now dying because it's too warm. So what are we looking, what are the new what trees should we be considered, and shrubs? So it's logistical. We're going to have some scouts doing some marking and things like that. And we're going to be having a couple volunteer coordinators, parking coordinator, because it'll be down by the town forest entry, which, as you know, is a tricky place. But it's really been a fun project to work on, just because there's so many people involved, and it's it is the town's 40th year anniversary as a Tree City USA, and it's the 95th anniversary of the town forest. So kind of, I think if we can keep it going for 5 years, we can hit the 100th year, which would be super nice to still be planting 500 trees a year in the town forest. I don't know if you know this, but they just had a huge culling. They had to take down thousands of trees that were dead or dying due to disease, mostly red pines, I think. So it's a very exciting project. And again, it's an example of,
They already planted a bunch too.
yes, the scouts, there have been a bunch of scouts planting them, planting trees as well. But to me, it's a great example of how this is not a library project. This is a community project, which the library is able to sort of shepherd through a process and get all the right people in the room, make sure the meetings go through, make sure we stay organized, make sure we do the communications, facilitate with logistics. It's been a really great experience, and something that's really at the core of what Rooted in Reading is, which is bringing community together. Thanks very much to Michelle and Horizons. We will be purchasing we expect to be purchasing some shelving dedicated to our library of things. Right now, all of our library things are stored behind various desks, and that's okay, but we're running out of space. We can't really grow the program. And this was on the supplemental spending plan under equipment. If you remember, there were some chunks of money set aside for library equipment and furnishings. Michelle's done a great job. She's approached actually more than 3, but she has 3 formal quotes. It'll go sort of actually next to where the Rooted in Reading display is, where we currently have it used to be the thank you. It used to be the Express books. There's some shelves there. I think sometimes we put library of things there, like a tent or something like that. But these will be lockable. People will be able to, instead of having to turn around and get it, patrons may be able to get it themselves or with the assistance from somebody at the Borrow Services desk. It's just going to expand our storage for those things. Not every single thing will have its own cubby. There may be 5 ukuleles in one compartment. But it just, if you think about things that are taking up a lot of our space, that's some things are small and they can sit in little packets, but some of the things are bigger and we just need to have better storage. So we're very excited. We're hoping to get that done before the end of this fiscal year. Definitely encumbered. And that's about it. I just, some more dates for you. Local elections are the 8th. We will have our monthly meeting on April 14th. And the new trustees will have to be sworn in before that. I can also arrange to have the town clerk here before the meeting if that's required. Congrats to Dina Snook, who's been here for 2 years. Dina's a library associate up in the children's room. It was, and she's a full-time person up there. Suzanne Sullivan, who used to be, who is a Reading resident, was a former librarian, I believe, in Burlington. She's the assistant director there. After she retired, she came to us and was a wonderful Sunday and emergency substitute. She has stepped down from that position, but she comes here all the time with her family. So we will miss her service, but not her face. And then in response to that, we hired 2 new substitute librarians, Nancy Snow, who is also a local resident, and Ashley Cristiano comes to us from, I believe, Worcester. Malden. She's from Malden, but I think she works in Saugus, I think. But she's coming on as a substitute. One of the great things, and I just, some kudos to Andrea and the hiring team that worked on this, to really find substitutes that can cover pretty much every single desk. If someone only specializes in children, then they can't really help out at the reference desk. That's tough because sometimes we don't know who's going to be sick. So we're kind of trying to develop and do more cross-training within these 2 teams so that people can pinch hit at another desk and help out. But it's great to have these 2 substitutes, and it's a different kind of advertising, a different kind of interviewing, and they did a great job. And I think these are going to be really successful substitutes. We also have lots of new volunteers that we're kind of getting involved with. Part of the Rooted in Reading, we're excited to start launching our Busy Bees. Our Busy Bees is a volunteer group / club. We hope to make it the club part would be to incentivize people to come to the library, meet up, taking gardeners or new gardeners of any ages and abilities. We're actually hoping it'll be family oriented, so that you might come water together, you might adopt a part of the building and grounds, you might it might be watering, it might be weeding, it might be you don't really like gardening outdoors, but you like to talk to people that garden, and so you just come to our monthly meetings. Monthly meetings will, one of the biggest goals for this group will be to design and fill out a space that we can be designated as a wildlife habitat through not the Mass Audubon, there's a group that certifies you. And in order to do that, you have to meet certain criteria, which like, are there shrubs where fauna can winter over or nest, or that provide berries and provide food. So if you look around town, you'll see a few yards that have these little signs on them. It's a cute little sign. And you basically just have to meet some criteria. So the hope is that we'll have at least one space of the library property that is designated a wildlife habitat. If it can't be done in a year, then maybe over the next couple of years. As I mentioned, Megan White has a new volunteer helping her with the seed library. We have teens coming in to help with our craft swap. If there's anyone here who understands crafts, you know how quickly a craft room gets overwhelmed with stuff. So people that are donating stuff for our craft swapper, we have a lot of stuff. So if you know people who like crafts, have them come to the event. It's basically take whatever you want. We have a volunteer that's going to be helping us with the technology inventory. It's something we do regularly, but we haven't done it in a while. And that's to kind of go back through and make sure all the iPads, all the little equipments, everything's up to date. What operating system do they have? We learned in the last couple of years that Chromebooks have a life, so we need to check all of our Chromebooks, and some of those may need replacing. We're also getting assistance with volunteers. I think parent volunteers are helping out with our jumping beans. Our Saturday jumping beans is mad crazy with mad crazy numbers of people within fire code, all within the fire code. But as you can imagine, adults with toddlers, it gets kind of crazy. So we're just sort of seeing an uptick in the opportunities and interest in people volunteering at the library. So I wanted to call that out. And that's pretty much it for February. We're looking forward to the rest of the year. We feel like we're on the downward slope. I know it's only March, but downward slope of figuring out, making sure our budgets materials budgets, our salary budgets are all shipshape for the end of the year.
Excellent, thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the February 10th meeting minutes. Does anybody have any questions, inputs, changes?
Move the approval of the February 10th meeting minutes.
Second.
Roll call vote, Monette,
Yes.
Cherry? Andrews?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Pat? The motion carries 6-0. Thank you all very much. We have a number of items on the agenda for future meetings. In April, we have, I assume that's the Office of Social Justice update. We'll be getting a new trustee introduction. And then we have voting on both the patron rights and the minor policy that we discussed earlier, and discussion regarding the ad hoc library landscape committee. Anything else? Yeah. Do I have a move to adjourn? Come on.
Move we adjourn.
There it is.
Second.
Roll call. Monette,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Pat? We are adjourned as of 7:56 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.